everyone, today I'm here to share with you my June wrap-up, basically talking about all of the books I read this June. So I read 11 books. That's right, 11 books. I don't know what it is about the summer months. I just read so many books. That's probably a lot of contemporary books, that's why. Either way, I read 11 books, so let's just get right on to it. As always, I'm going to start with my least favorite, working up to my favorite book. The first book I want to talk about today is The Sandcastle Empire by Kayla Olsen. I just finished this book. This is literally the last book I read in June, and I didn't really enjoy it. I give this one a 3 out of 5. If I'm being realistic, it would probably be like a 2.75. I don't know. I could see the appeal of this book. I just personally did not like it. This is a dystopian sci-fi book, and the first 100 pages were like veering on a 4.5, 5 for me. And I was like, if this keeps at this pace, I'm gonna love this book. But after that, it got insane. Like I feel like this book's bananas. Like, it is crazy. So it starts off, like I said, as dystopian, and they go to this island, and things just get really intense from there, and it goes from being dystopian to more sci-fi, more on the science side of science fiction, and it gets really confusing. I think that's the main problem I have with this book, is the sheer confusion I felt while reading this book. I thought the writing was good. I also love the survival aspect of it, because it's all about them on this island and trying to figure out where to go and what to do and figure out this whole kind of war going on. And I also enjoyed our main character, but that's where my likes end. I just found this to be so sheer confusing, and I may be the only one, because this book's got a lot of good reviews on it. But I don't know, if you want me to include this in a mash it review, because I'm doing a lot of those recently and I plan to read more fantasy, let me know if you want to hear more of my thoughts, because I could go on of why I didn't enjoy this book, but I don't want to like discourage you from reading it, because it is a solid book for the writing alone. But I just didn't like it. I'm sorry to say. The next book I also gave a 3 out of 5, and that is Fireworks by Katie Cadugno. I wanted to really enjoy this book. It had everything I wanted in it as far as the book jacket. It takes place in the 90s, which love the 90s. I am a 90s kid, so 90s anything, yes. And it's all about these two girls, and one of them decides to go to Florida to audition for this girl group, and the other girl tags along, and they both end up in this girl group called Daisy Chain, and it's all about them like training and singing and dancing, and I just found it to be mediocre in my opinion. There was so much animosity between these girls. Like, they just all fought and wanted to like be the one star of this group, and if you weren't like 100% in, you needed to get out. And there was just so much hate between these girls, which is realistic, because sometimes you have friendships that are kind of like that. But I wanted to see more like friendships, like more like building each other up more than just tearing each other down, which I felt this book was. I will say I did enjoy it for the 90s nostalgia. If you were a 90s lover, I would recommend this book, because it was solid on the 90s aspect, but I just wanted to like have better like friendships in it. It was just kind of a middle of the road book for me, in my opinion. So like I said, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Also a 3 out of 5. I promise I read some awesome books this month, so don't think I'm gonna like harp on everything today. I promise you I am not. Or The One That I Want by Giovanna Fletcher. I found again this book to be just middle of the road for me. It was okay, nothing really spectacular. I did enjoy the writing style a lot. This is about kind of like a love triangle and like a before and after of deciding who you're gonna be with, and I just wanted more from it. I wasn't super in love with the characters, and I wasn't super in love with the whole plot, but I've heard amazing things about this author, so I definitely want to give her another shot. But again, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was just a decent chick lit, not like the best I've ever read, but not the worst by any means. Moving into the 3.5 star section, I have a couple of those. The first one of that being Words in Deep Blue by Cass Crowley. I did really enjoy this one. This is kind of all about these two people that fall in love, and it's all about a guy that works at his parents' secondhand bookstore, and it's got this letter library, and it's just, that aspect alone is worth reading this book, because it is super short. You can fly through it within a couple days at most. And I love the writing style of this book. It was very, very beautifully written, and it was kind of more of a deeper contemporary. And I enjoyed it for the most part. It was just a solid contemporary read. If you're interested in contemporary, I would recommend this one. I give it a 3.5. And my other 3.5 star read this month is The Good Girl by Mary Kabika. This is an adult mystery novel, and I did enjoy this one as well. I think the reason I gave it a 3.5 is because I did find it predictable. I don't know if I'm the only one that felt that way, but the mystery behind it was good. Like, I read this so quickly because I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Like, I had it in the back of my mind of what was gonna happen, but it just reeled me in and I wanted to read more. And I loved Mary Kapika's writing style a ton, so I definitely plan to read more books of hers in the future because I love her writing style. If you're looking for a solid mystery read, I would definitely recommend this one, but I will say her other one a lot of people recommend more is Don't You Cry, which I plan to read very, very soon. And then if we're getting super technical, I have a 3.75 read this month, and that is Dating You, Hating You by Christina Lauren. This is in a chick lit novel, and I wasn't even planning to read this month. I kind of buddy read this with Natasha over at Tashopolis, and we just had so much fun texting back and forth our thoughts and opinions on this book. I love buddy reading with people. It's just so much fun, but I really enjoyed this one. This is about these this guy and girl are like talent agents in Hollywood, and they both love their job, and they start to date, and then one day they come to work and find that their companies have been merged. And not only that, but they're vying for the same job. So they're not just dating now, but they're also competing for a job. So that threw things out of the loop. And this is an awesome chick lit book with a little bit of steaminess in it. It talks a lot about their careers, which I really enjoyed. So I gave this one a 3.75, closer to 4. Like I said, I really found this to be a solid chick lit book that was more than just romance. Moving on to my 4 stars because I have quite a few of those. The first one of that being Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. I do have a review up on this book alone. If you want to check it out, I'll be right here. I will say this is not my favorite Sarah Dessen book. It was kind of a middle of the road Sarah Dessen book for me. I wanted to love it so much more. I think the main reason I didn't like it was I didn't feel like there was much chemistry between the two main characters of this book, and I just wanted more from it. Also, this huge insta love story in this book, not like within our main characters, but kind of without, you have to read to figure out, but I did not like that aspect of all. Like, it was insta love at its worst. Like, sometimes insta love I can get behind and understand the reasoning. In this particular case, no, I did not understand it at all. If you've read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I still gave it a 4 out of 5 because I love Sarah Dessen's writing, and you can quickly read them because you're just so invested in them. But I will say this is not, sadly, one of my favorite Sarah Dessen books. Also coming at 4 stars is Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. This has got to be my favorite Jennifer E. Smith book I've ever read, and I've read quite a few of hers, and I wasn't in love with them. This one, I really enjoyed. I felt like it was one of her deeper contemporaries, and I really loved the main character, Alice, in this book. It is so good. It's about this girl named Alice who's in love with her best friend Teddy, and she buys Teddy a lottery ticket for his birthday, and he actually ends up winning, and it changes their relationship, and I really loved this book. It's not all about the lottery. It's more about Alice coming to terms with herself, coming to terms with the fact that she's in love with Teddy, and coming to terms with her parents' death that happened a long time ago. The one downfall I will say is the character of Teddy. Teddy is just wishy-washy all over the place. Sometimes I felt he was very undeserving of Alice because Alice was such an amazing character. I would definitely recommend this book. I found it to be a great contemporary book, kind of on the deeper end of contemporary, but not like sad contemporary, if that makes sense. But I really enjoyed it. Also at 4 stars, we have Replica by Lauren Oliver. I know, I finally read it. It's the high time. This is a sci-fi novel, and it's in dual perspective, so you can either read it from Lyra's point of view, or you can read it from Gemma's point of view, and I did alternating chapters of each character, and I really enjoyed this book. Like, I just wanted more from it. I love the fact that you could flip and just read different perspectives. You can read one side over the other, and I just found it to be an awesome sci-fi book. Like, I just really loved the way the story wove together of how she made these 2 characters and like 2 different sides like so freaking cohesive. It was beautifully written. I loved it for that aspect. I have its own review as well, which you can see right here. Then coming in at 4.5 out of 5 is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertali. I'm going to say about this book is it's adorable, and it definitely lives up to the hype. I'm sure I don't need to explain it to you because it has been floating around BookTube for like a long time. Everyone is obsessed with it. I can see why. It is definitely a very, very cute and adorable read, full of diversity, and it's all the heart emojis, all of the heart emojis. So I definitely really enjoyed it. I didn't give it a full 5 out of 5 because I didn't love the writing. I liked it. I just wanted to be a little bit more not complicated, but the writing style is simplistic, which I do enjoy, but sometimes I found it to be too simple almost. I don't know if that's horrible to say, but either way, I did really enjoy this book. And my last read, I gave a 5 out of 5 to, and I was very surprised in that fact, honestly, and that is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. I honestly thought I was going to give this book like a 2 out of 5 because I did not enjoy the Savage Song that much. Like, I gave it a 4 out of 5, but like looking back on it, it'd probably be like a 3. But so when it came time to read this book, I was like, this is gonna put me in a slump. But I love this book so much. I found it to be much more interesting than the first book. I love the characters even more. I love the progression of it. It was a solid 5-star for me. I could not get enough of it. I just loved every second of this book. A full series review on both of these books where I talk about it, spoilers and non-spoilers. So if you're interested in that, it'll be right here. But either way, I definitely loved this book. Hands down my favorite of the month. So there you have it. There are the 11 books that I read this month. Sorry if I went through some of them quickly, but I did that because I have reviews on every single one of these books, despite the first 2 I showed you. So I just want to throw that out there. Like, if you want to hear more in depth of my opinions on these books, please be sure to check out my reviews. So I'm going to show you what books I have reviews on. Like I said, I have a full series review on this book alone right here. I also have a singular review for Replica by Lauren Oliver, which is just its own review in this one book. And I also have a singular review of just this one book, Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. So those are the only 3 this month that have their own dedicated video reviews, if that makes sense. Like in those reviews, I'm only talking about that one particular book. Now, for those other books, I have mashup reviews. So my first mashup review, I talk about Words in Deep Blue, Windfall, and The Upside of Unrequited. So I talk about all 3 of these books in that one review video, which I will link down below. If you want to hear more in-depth thoughts, please check out that video. I also have another mashup review talking about You're the One That I Want, The Good Girl, and Dating You, Hating You, also in a whole nother video review as well. So if you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on these 3 books as well, definitely check out that mashup review video. These 2 are the only ones I didn't review because it was kind of at the end of the month. So I will make mashup reviews maybe in July for these books. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts and opinions. Did we have the same feelings or not? Tell me, how was your June reading month? Was it good? Was it bad? What did you read? And what was your favorite read? If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.